That being said, I'm going to go ahead and get these Mr. Lemuel and some kids in here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
They are running a little bit late from their one class, so I'm sure you don't mind, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
They're not missing challenge science though.
Thanks for doing it.
Thanks for coming in, ladies.
No problem.
Mr. Lemuel, nice to see you.
Thanks for
Now
having
let's
me.
introduce him. He's our 8th grade guidance counselor right here. Mr. Lemuel, how you doing, sir?
Afternoon, how are you?
Good to see you.
Introduce our students.
Introduce our students for us.
Carissa, Juliana, they're going to be helping us out. You guys have been hearing a lot about challenge science, what it takes, what it is. These girls are living it this year, right?
Yeah.
We signed up for it last year. They heard what Dr. Siggins and Mr. Parcia spoke about at the end of 7th grade. You guys have that meeting coming up, right?
Yeah.
So these girls heard it. They were excited to take this course. So we're going to get a first-hand knowledge a little bit about what they've kind of been going through, okay? So what does it take? I'm going to ask both girls, give us your synopsis. What did it take for you to be successful in this course? Chris, why don't you go first?
Well, first, my personality, I'm a perfectionist, and I just, like a grade below my expectations for myself bothers me, so I really set goals for myself, and I have the self-drive and the determination just to work hard at the class and the resilience to bounce back after a bad grade or anything that set me back.
Yeah.
Juliana, go ahead.
Well, Julian, but it's fine.
Sorry.
It's fine. Well, it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to to your homework and studying and well, I'm a perfectionist too, but it's I kind of accepted that I wouldn't get a 90 or a high 90, in the hundreds or 99. I accepted that because I knew that this was going to be hard and it wasn't going to be obviously 7th grade at all, because it 7th grade I remember I didn't really study too much and it was pretty easy for me, but this was really hard.
What is hard? What is hard about this class? What you talked a little bit. You just kind of said 7th grade was pretty easy. 8th grade is a little bit difficult. This class is even one step above. What's difficult?
It's the material and the expectations you have for the class, because you have to act a lot more mature with studying and stuff, even though we might not act like that in class. We are more mature with what we have to do, and we set plans for ourselves at night, and we have to follow through with that, or we won't have our homework done next day.
And what does class look like the next day that those things don't happen? Talk about the expectation.
Well, he might home pop us, which is
What's a home pop?
it's it's like a pop quiz, but you have to take a page out of your packet and give it to him as a homework grade, and if you don't have it done, then you get a 0.
0 test grade, right?
Yeah.
Or if it's not done with care, if it's just filled in, what kind of grade are you getting?
0.
But if you had the discipline to do it and try it, what do you get?
You'll get partial credit, but it won't be if you're checking it for accuracy, you'll get partial credit, but if you're not, then you'll get full credit.
But if you do it, if you do it well, you'll get an A.
Yeah.
Even if you're not home pop though, if you're not doing your homework, you're not gonna follow along in class, and you're gonna have no idea what's going on, and that really affects the homework of that night, the next night, and just your understanding of the material as a whole.
And by not staying up with the material each day, each night, it kind of snowballs a little bit.
Yeah,
then
it builds
it's
up.
now I'm kind of behind today, and then tomorrow doesn't look good, and then the next day, and I know a lot. I talked to Mr. Parcia a lot about the anxiety and the stress that this class creates sometimes, and a lot of it is just not keeping up.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. All builds up, and all the material builds, and it all comes back. So if you don't get your homework done, it's
Yeah.
just, it all comes back.
I want to ask you this question here, if you don't mind, okay? It would be nice to think that these two kids came to school every day, or were in attendance for their class every day, right? Did that happen for you?
No.
Okay, so you missed time, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you missed time, what did you have to do?
You have to see Mr. Parcia and SSS and get the work that you missed, and you really have to communicate with your peers to get the notes and just everything that you missed that day, because it's a lot and it's going to be a lot to catch up on, but if you work at it, it's possible.
okay? And what happens if you don't do those things?
Hey, what happened, if you avoided doing all that, or you avoided seeing me or the teacher for clarification, what do you think the repercussion would be?
You fall behind and it affects your grade, and your grade will show.
And how did did that ever happen to you?
I was pretty good with getting my work.
She is. Yeah.
So, not really, but I've seen it happen to other people 100%.
You have seen it happen to other people?
Yeah.
How about you? Does it happen to you?
No, well, not once. I believe it did happen because I was like confused on something, and then like 2 days before the test, I asked him, and then he's like, "Why didn't you ask me before?"
Okay.
And I've seen it happen to a lot of my other friends because they didn't realize how like serious it was until they actually like was in the class for at least a month and a half.
How did you girls deal with the setbacks? What did you have to do? We kind of are talking about it right now, but how did you deal with it? Because I know some kids, they get the stress and they shut down.
Yeah.
But I know for you two specifically, because we talked last week about this, you guys really didn't do that. What did you do? How did you deal with that setback?
I kind of took that as motivation to do better and to bring my grade up because I had a goal. Well, I still have the goal to get into bio like legibly and not like override. And I'm still getting there. I still have a 87 overall, and I mean I'm proud of that because this class was hard, but like overcoming like the stress of like getting a bad grade is also hard because it's like hard to take that, oh, I have this grade, sort of.
How were your other grades in your other classes, real quick?
Oh, they're so much better. Like I have like 95, 99, something like that, in that range.
Okay. And Chris, how'd you deal with those setbacks?
You really do have to use the stress as a motivation and not let it beat you down, because if you let it beat you down, if you let the stress beat you down, you're just not going to succeed. You really have to motivate yourself and keep up with it.
Can I?
Yeah.
Were you guys worried in any way, shape, or form about getting knocked out of Distinguished Honors or National Junior Honor Society or any of those type of?
Sort of. I mean, I joined National Junior Honor Society, and then I figured out in like a month and a half in, it was like the second marking period or something, that this wasn't going to work for the class that I'm taking, so I didn't do it. I like opted out to do it because I didn't believe that I could do everything.
Okay.
And with Distinguished Honors, I'm happy with honors, and if I get Distinguished Honors, that's amazing. But like if I just get honors, I'll be perfectly happy with that.
Okay, so you've accepted that, right?
Yeah.
And you set certain goals for yourself, and you're good with them, and you know that, hey, if I get a B in this class or if I get an A minus in this class, I'm pretty
Yeah.
pleased.
Yeah.
Now, she works real hard, doesn't she?
She does, and she has a really good attitude, an outstanding attitude, and she stuck with it. You know, for both these, it hasn't always been perfect, but they just stick with it, and they've adapted, they've shown improvement throughout the year, and they bought in. You know, they've embraced the class, and they bought in through the good and I don't want to say the bad, but the struggle. You know, because even though it's a lot of work, we have learned a lot, and you know, it's been a great year. But these guys have bought in.
Did that bother you at all in any way, shape, or form?
With the Distinguished Honors, it had worried me from the start when I first signed up for the class. But like when I got the first packet, like over the summer, I kind of like set a goal for myself that I would try and get Distinguished Honors even with this class, and just working at that, it's paid off. So towards the course of the year, it kind of, my worries like went away.
Okay, and you said one other thing that I want to make sure
Oh, yeah.
these people here, right here. You said something about getting a packet over the summer.
Yeah.
You got summer homework?
Yeah.
Oh,
We got
yes,
it
you
like,
did.
the first day of August.
That's
He
right.
sent it to our parents, and we had to have most of it done by the time we got into class the first day.
And not just done, but we had to understand it too. Off just a video, we had to understand it, and we did teach it to ourselves and really understand it by the first day.
So once again now, this little activity here right now, while we don't have, if you will, summer reading, okay, this is what we're getting them ready for. This is a challenge science class. He's offering them some homework where they have to access some resources, which is a video, to make sure that they go above and beyond to get themselves ready for school. When your children, and these guys right here, when they go to 9th grade, guess what? Which is going to be in a month here, okay? they're gonna have a summer reading assignment that they're gonna have to complete. So this is how we're trying to
Just
prepare
trying
these
to
guys.
battle test them.
Right, battle test them for high school. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, not only that, but even at that AP Human Geography course,
That's the ninth
that's a
grade college course.
you know, he gives out summer packets too. And it's, I'm sure it's more expensive than what you're giving out, but it's along the same lines and stuff, so. Chris, you talked about buying, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Parcia talked about buying in, but last week we were talking about, you actually said that. What does it mean to a student, to an 8th grade student, to actually buy into this class? Because I think that's really important. That's a really important concept you guys need to have. What does it mean to buy in?
Well, like Ms. Percy said, you really have to embrace the class, and if you're not embracing the class and you're kind of regretting taking it the whole year, it's not going to be fun and your grade's going to show that you're not enjoying it. You really have to buy in and just accept that you're in this class, so you can either make the best of it or just totally slack off and your grade will show.
Do you have any friends that are in that class that regret making that decision?
Yeah, I have several.
You do?
Yeah.
So do I.
Okay, and what do they say? What's their big reason for the regret? What do they say?
Their grade and the homework, and it's just they don't enjoy it as much as honestly I do. Like, I enjoy the class a lot, but I know they don't enjoy it as much as I do.
Do you like science? Is that what you're?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
always,
Yeah.
you really like science,
Mhm.
and you're a pretty good math student,
Yeah.
and you're not afraid to work,
Right.
right? Which is the 3 criteria that we've talked about since the beginning. So you got kids in the same class as you and you, right?
Yeah.
That they're struggling a little bit, and they wish they wouldn't have done that. That's the point. The point is we don't want to see kids in there that are doing that. All right, how about you?
Yeah.
What have they said?
I have a few friends. As you said, it's like the homework and the workload they have during class too, because it is stressful writing down notes. But you have to get everything that you believe is 100% important, which is most of what he says. And if you don't get it down, then you might not. Or if you don't have it down, then you have to ask someone else if they got it down. And then you can copy their notes and match them into yours.
Okay, so in other words, what's happening in the class is that he's not giving you skeletal notes or a study guide. It's
No.
already typed out for you, right? You have to sit there as an older student and think what's really important that's coming out of his mouth, right? And record.
Yeah.
And can I just add on it? Have there been times this year where I may mention something in passing? In a
Yeah.
2-week chapter, if I mention something for like a minute in passing, have you seen it come back on the exam
Yes,
many
yes.
times?
Yeah.
Oh, so
Essay
that was,
questions
yes.
too.
Essay
not even
questions.
multiple
Oh,
essay
even if you
questions.
say don't write it down, I'm gonna write it down anyways.
oh, good. Because we want to make sure you're paying attention at that self-discipline to be responsible and focused to prepare you for these AP and high honors courses. Good.
Let's keep going with this, because last week when we talked about this, the girls were talking about study habits. What kind of study habits? Tell me about the study habits you had coming into the class, and then following up with that, how did your study habits grow and improve?
I didn't really have a study habit. It'd kind of just be looking over Mr. Kyoto's packets and looking over the homework, and after that, after starting this, I knew that I had to look over the packet, my notes, rewrite the notes, and actually understand it and make myself a study guide so I can learn off of that.
You made a study guide? Good for you. That's it.
Now, do you use similar type of what you've learned through this class, the study skills? Do you do this in your other classes as well
Yes.
too? So this is kind of transferred to
Yeah.
what we're doing across the board.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, like she said, I didn't really have study habits. I barely studied in 7th grade. I would just kind of breeze over the study guides that they would give us. But this year's totally different, and that's one reason why I took the class, because I wanted to build those study habits. And yeah, it's just, you build them as you go along.
Well, and you said earlier, you bought in, you kind of evolved with the class, and if you don't buy in, you don't evolve, then you don't grow as a student like what you were looking to do,
Yeah.
Come
so.
on, ask one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Take challenge science out of this picture, okay? Take it out. Is 8th grade year, the courses that you have, the responsibility that you have as students here, all the other activities that are going on, would you consider it to be harder than 7th grade?
Yes.
In and of
definitely.
itself, just without even a challenge science, just being here right now, is it harder?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay,
A lot
wait,
of-
you just
A lot of the teachers don't really go into as much detail as they would in 7th grade. You kind of have to read out of the textbooks and get a lot of the detail yourself. And yeah.
So
it's
there's
just
more responsibility on your
Yeah,
part
it's more-
and less them giving you all the information, it's more you
Right.
figuring it out.
Yeah, so if like we didn't get something, we'd have to look it up online ourselves and teach it to ourselves. Or like they do still, like a few other classes do give us study guides, but they're not as extensive as you would think, because they'd have like small points that like it could be there, but like on the test it'll have like different things and you'll be like, that wasn't on the study guide. And you have to study elsewhere, not just the study guide.
One of the big things about 8th grade is just the time management piece. A lot of kids without challenge science have a difficulty keeping up with the sports, with the activities, the music, all those things, and then throwing in, I have to do my homework, I have to study for algebra, for geometry, for regular math, for social studies. Social studies was a big thing this year. Chris, is that
He
what you guys-
mentioned that
yeah.
before too,
Yeah. Krista, tell me how did you manage this course along, because I know you do sports, right? I know you're in some higher level courses. How did you manage your time outside of school for challenge science?
First of all, you really have to work ahead and plan out your time in the packets, because if you're behind, it's a lot to catch up on, and so it's really about working ahead and carving out time in your night for science. I put science as a priority, so I do it before most of my other homework so that I'm not working on science like late into the night. And my other homework isn't as hard for me, so it's kind of easier to get science out of the way and then do the other homework. So it's all about really planning your time.
How much time did you spend per night? I mean, that's, I mean, I know everything's
Gotta be
different,
honest.
Yeah,
right?
I-
And so just about how much?
First marking period, I spent 2 hours
A night.
a night.
First mark period.
2.5 hours. Not that all of that was focused.
Okay.
Um,
No, oh, you're talking two and a half on this
on
class?
science, yeah.
But not all of it was
Science.
focused.
Not all of it was
No.
focused.
Okay, so we had these
Which I-
conversations.
Right, which you really learn. Focus study is a really important part of this class, because you'll have so much like homework if you're not focused studying. But first marking period, I spent like 2.5 hours a night, and then I learned to budget my time throughout the year.
And we've had a lot of conversations
Yeah.
about, let's see if you can get, so you had a solid A. You worked really hard for it, and we kept talking, well, what are you doing at home each night? Because we'll conference with the kids once a market period to kind of just talk to them one-on-one. Wouldn't we talk about, especially if you, hey, can you still get, I don't remember what, yeah, let's make it up. Can you still somehow cut down 30 minutes a night this market period, make a goal, and still maintain that 93? Because we've talked about, when you go to high school, you're not just going to have 1 or 2 other courses, you could have 3 or 4. Well, you're going to have a job, you're going to be involved in sports, there's going to be after-school activities, you need to learn to spread everything out. And are you getting better at that, and are you
Yeah,
more efficient?
I'm definitely getting better at that.
Good.
I don't spend as much time, maybe an
Good.
hour on science a night, and that's still a lot. My other subjects, maybe I spend like an hour combined on all of those, but it's definitely not as much time as I was spending in the beginning of the year.
How about you, how much time?
Yeah. The beginning of the year was about maybe 2.5 hours to 3 hours, and like it wasn't really focused because I didn't really take it like too much serious, like the homework that seriously, because it was like, oh, it's just another subject. But like then I'd have the other subjects, and I'd be like, oh, I didn't do that night. And what I've learned is whatever time teachers give you, if they say you can work on homework for another class, like do your homework then. It's very important to like get that done so you have the minimal amount of time doing homework as possible, so you can study for the next test, or you can study for like the material the next like morning or next day for science, because he could give you a pop quiz out of nowhere, like in the middle of class, and go, you know what, pop quiz, 2 questions or something from like the reading the night before.
So as the years go on, when you said this focused study thing, when you weren't focused, was it your mind wandering, daydreaming, going on the phone and asking questions and kind of dilly-dallying, you know?
Yeah.
And that's
It was-
okay,
it was
it's normal.
Yeah, it was like our mind wandering, and we made a group chat, and that always went off because people would be either arguing about what we talked about in class or not, or asking questions about homework, which is helpful sometimes. But if you abuse the like the opportunity to do that, it won't really help you too much.
So when you started to limit those distractions, the focus study is significantly less than the lack of focus study.
Right.
See, that's something really important you learn. You're getting out of your system now, so
Yeah.
that's good to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Now I do about like an hour or
Good.
something.
What did your parents, if you're spending 2.5 hours on science, like I said, I'm a dad, you're a dad.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't want that for my kid.
I'm gonna be upset. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah. My mom, all the time, she's like, Chris, you need to just stop, like, move on. Because I'll obsess over it. Like, if I don't know a question, I'll obsess over it. And she'll definitely tell me to move on, and she'll
Okay.
convince me.
So how late were you doing homework? What'd you say? Because you played sports, right?
Right.
Okay, so you go from practice, you're tired, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead. What time are you wrapping that up?
A lot of times I would work till like 9:30, 9:45, and sometimes if I didn't have all my homework done the night before, because I don't like to work late, I work better in the morning. So if I didn't have all my homework done the night before, I would wake up earlier than I usually would and get the rest of it done. And that's just, again, all about time management.
Okay, how about you?
I work until, I actually had a set point, but by the middle of the third marking period, I knew I had to have a set point of the time that I had to stop doing homework, because then it wouldn't even be good in the morning, because you wouldn't be prepared for class, or you'd be like scrambling, and you'd be drowsy, and you can't really like focus during the day. So I'd stop doing homework at 10 o'clock, and I'd go to bed at 10:30. Like I had to stop there because I knew if I kept going on, I'd get more frustrated, and because I was tired and I wasn't thinking.
Okay. Your parents say things to you about being up that late?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the beginning of the year, they thought it was insane because they're like, why are you staying up so late? It's just homework. And I'd get frustrated because there was one topic that I couldn't get, and I'd stay on that one topic the whole entire time. And they're like, you need to stop doing homework now. But as the year progressed, they kind of like let me go, and they're like, you have to manage your own time now. You have to do this all by yourself because we don't need to help you anymore.
Okay. All right, good.
You guys have grown a lot this year.
Right.
It's good to hear.
Yeah.
My last question I have for the ladies here today. Julian, I'll let you go first. Because I think this is a big one, and just so you know, Mr. Parcia, when I talk to kids that are not doing well in your class, one of the things, the first thing I ask them, I call them down, they come down, and I say, are you enjoying the class? And they're like, it's okay. I said, do you even enjoy science? A lot of them say, and this is not a shot at you, but they say no. And I said, my next question is well, then why'd you take this? And so, Julian, do you enjoy science? Tell us a little bit about that.
I've loved science pretty much all my life. When I started doing like focused science classes in 4th grade, I like loved it because it was so much fun. There's like you could like do experiments, and like you were learning all this stuff about like what actually is like goes on in like the world, and like what like things are made of, and what like things are composed of. And you act like when you look at something and you've learned it, you like smile at yourself because you know that you know this, and it's fun to know that like you're smart and you know how to do things.
Do you enjoy
Yeah.
science?
I've loved science. I started liking it in 6th grade, really, but it's just totally grown through this year. And like Julie said, just like when you're out and you see something that pertains to this class, it kind of just like makes you laugh to yourself. Like even today at lunch, there's like
What was it?
we were reading the ingredients on a water bottle, and it was
Oh,
like
gosh.
sodium bicarbonate, potassium.
What's the formula?
Sodium bicarbonate is NaHCO3.
Non-metal, right?
Yeah.
What kind of compound?
Ionic.
Good.
And just the whole table. It was funny, and you kind of relate it to your life, honestly, and that's.
And I think that's part of, I mean, you heard the stories beginning of the year, but this is what it evolves to. They tend to, those who have bought in and already came in loving science and are willing to give it a try and adapt and make mistakes, they have a lot of these moments with their friends where they're geeking it up, as we call it, right? In science, and they apply it to their real life, and it's really exciting to see. It's
Yeah,
cool.
if you don't like science from the start, and in the beginning of the year, as you said, you don't buy into it, and you don't enjoy it, you won't enjoy it throughout, like, the entire year. And if, like, you become a nerd through this process, it's fine, because then you'll have friends that are also like that, and it's, like, in class, they'll scream about things, and it's like
Well, the kids are under control, but
Yeah.
we do scream about things because
Yeah.
we're at this point. Wait, let me ask you this. Does everything now make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything just
Connect.
makes sense because it all built.
Right.
You know, it all built, and now we're just like, now next week when we learn about soap and surfactants,
Right.
it's gonna be really cool. Like, it's so cool. Now you're gonna be obsessed with washing your hands, whatever. But like,
Yeah.
but a lot of hard work and a lot of buying in, and that commitment from August 1st when you got that email
Yeah.
from me or the teacher. That's when it started, and all that perseverance, you know, is starting now to pay off.
Right.
But it doesn't pay off for everybody. That's why we go back to loving science.
This might sound weird, but like after a while, if you don't have homework for like a really long time, you'll actually be happy to get homework because you'll have nothing to do,
Yeah.
and then like he'll give you a packet, and you'll get so excited because it's new material. There's like this new packet, there's new pages, there's new stuff to do, and you're like learning new things all the time.
So you want to be engaged in your
Yeah.
studies. Well, yeah.
Yeah, when the
What-
packets
what
come
else?
in, everybody's like, yeah, packets. And the guy will walk in, we'll like clap for him because like we have packets.
What? Oh, was that the day we got
Yeah.
Mr. Doherty?
I'm
for
not
that?
gonna be relying on this.
All right, go ahead.
Alright, I want you to think back to when you were in 7th grade. Okay, so here you are sitting here, you're watching the video, you met us, right? On
Yeah.
introductory thing, right? We're not trying to scare anybody, we're trying to tell you the facts of what's going on, right? I want to know, what role did your parent have with you sitting down and having a conversation about what's going on? Did they just let you make the decision, or did you guys talk it?
They definitely guided me. I doubted myself. I didn't think I'd be able to take on the class, and they kind of reminded me that I love science and like I would be a good person for this class, and they were right. But I also had a big part in the decision because they weren't going to make me do it if I didn't want to do it, but I wanted to do it.
So are you glad you did that?
Yes,
Okay.
I don't regret it.
Okay, so you don't regret it now because, once again, we're going back to this, you have to love science. And you know, I see these kids in class, right, they're, you know, we stop by. I mean, you're talking about people, like, she just didn't get a work ethic this year, neither did she, okay? You can tell that this is who they are. And that's why I said for parents, when you're sitting with your children right now talking about this is not a, well, they really have never shown that they have that type of determination. So therefore, let's let them try it right now.
No.
This is not a try it type of situation. And the kids that never have done that and are trying it this year are the ones that are really struggling. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And regretting being in there. And that's what we want to try to avoid, okay? No kid should be getting a CDRF in that class. And that should not be happening, okay? And unfortunately it is, right? And when they get overwhelmed, then they start to quit. And then when they start to quit, then, you know, you get into those other issues about how kids feel about themselves, and we want to try to avoid them, okay? Were your parents involved with you?
Not too much. They're like, you make this decision on your own. If you think you're ready, you're ready. Like, if you know that you're gonna do the work, you have to actually do it. Don't like slack off. And when in the meeting when you said that you can't back out, in the middle of the summer, I got scared because I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But in the beginning of 7th grade, I had this set goal that I was gonna take this class because I wanted a challenge. Because it wasn't really, like, science wasn't challenging or fun for me before because it was just too easy. I'd like go, like, I had 3 chapters because everybody would be going, like, the curriculum would be so slow. I wanted to keep going on. And, like, if I would have, like, backed out, I would have definitely regretted that decision.
Good.
Those were all the questions I had.
Great question, Mr.
So,
Lemieux.
but I do think, you know, I'm glad you wanted the ladies to come on because they add that student element that Hopefully
It's real.
the parents can hear, hopefully the kids can hear when they're all watching this video and stuff. So-
What bit of advice is the last set of student things? What
Yes.
bit of advice is people are gonna watch us now, and it's an hour of their time, right? So what do you wanna leave them with to try to give them advice in terms of making that call?
You really have to consider all the elements of the class and consider your nights and your personality as a student, because if you're not resilient and you're not motivated, then this class won't